This is a yin class just for you. If you've made your way here, it means that you found this at just the right time, and it should be exactly what you need. And it might have been even exactly what you're looking for. It's actually a yin based on a theme around connection. And particularly if you're feeling a sense of loneliness or being alone, even if you're surrounded by people, it can be this sense of connection that we need to come back to, feeling like we can connect with ourselves and then connecting with those around us. And so throughout the class, I'll be instructing you in ways of holding yourself, or the sensation of holding, and then the sensation of being held. And just notice how, or if any resistances come up, and where you might even feel that there's, at times it feels easier and at times it feels more challenging, and what poses you might even feel that in. Don't try and overanalyze or get too involved in the feeling of it, but just be the witness. So just to begin, bring your left hand, if you're a female, over your heart, and if you're a male, bring your right hand over your heart, and just take a moment to allow the eyes to close down. As you establish your seat, or you might even be lying down on your mat. Just feel the connection of your hand against your chest and your skin, or perhaps your clothes. And feel like there's this beautiful transference, the palm of the hand directly or energetically even moving towards both the physical heart and the spiritual heart. And just feel like there's a pathway between the two. Starting now to just feel your breath as well. Noticing the shape of it without trying to shape it. And notice if there's any roughness or coarseness in the flow. And just gently try to smooth that out without causing stress. Just trying to find an evenness in the flow of your breath. Or feeling the beautiful connection with hand to heart. And the palm of the hand itself is actually related to the heart. So feel the strength of that. And maybe even just take a small moment to reflect why you're here in this moment now and what you're needing. Just take a few more breaths. Getting established in that connection with yourself and with your breath. Slowly lower your chin, lower your hand, and start to softly blink the eyes open. And I didn't mention it before, but if you have blocks, cushion, or something resembling a strap, this would be really great for this class. And we'll begin without any props. And it's actually just a beautiful pose to help connect us to our breath. And it's called crocodile pose. And we come to lie on our belly and just overlap the forearms and allow the forehead to come down onto the forearms, relaxing the legs, Relaxing the arms, the head and the neck, and letting the head actually feel completely supported by your arms. And in this beautiful pose, it really allows us to directly connect, become aware of our breath. So like we just did before, come to the awareness of the breath and try to smooth out any coarseness in the flow. Not tending to any particular rhythm, but your own. If the breath at all becomes stressed or strained, just back it off a little bit. You might be trying to slow down your breath a bit too much, or thinking about it a little bit too much. But just here, feel how the inhale is expansive. And then on the exhale, there's a gentle contraction, and it feels like the body sinks a little lower into the mat. Find the balance now here between being held and holding. What might you be holding on to, whether it's stress or tension or whatever it is? It might even be, your fingers gripping into your mat without you realizing. And then notice the ways in which you can be held here without needing to try, but just allowing your body, your soul to be held and supported. Smooth breath, body just slightly moving as you're inhaling. The belly's expanding and connecting with the mat. And as you're exhaling, the body's gently contracting and moving a little bit closer towards the mat. It feels like you're letting go and relaxing further and further. Without judgment, just notice what being held feels like to you in this pose. What resistances you might have with being held. Or just purely how you feel like you can be held in this pose. It might feel really easy right here and right now. From here, we just gradually start to move to a different pose, which is Sphinx pose. Many of you are familiar with Sphinx. So depending on how open your back feels today, regardless of how flexible or open, just start with actually the elbows underneath the shoulders, the palms down, the gaze softly forward or even angled down. You may even like to close your eyes here for a more internal focus. And then there should feel like this gentle lifting up of the chest while the shoulders melt away from the ears. There's absolutely no contraction in the legs or the lower body. So for different people, it can feel really pleasant with the legs either close together. I generally prefer mine actually a little bit wider, and that feels like a really nice balance. And I'm able to let the lower body release. And we will start to progress in this posture. So if you're not feeling too much here, all I want you to focus on is your connection of the lower belly with the movement of the breath. Still feeling the connection of belly to mat. When we start to connect to ourself, it starts to eliminate this feeling that we could ever really be alone. And to recognize that we aren't the lonely, but we can experience that. And then, as simple as something like doing a yoga class or connecting with a friend or family member, or even just someone randomly, how that can shift us back to a state of balance. It might even be your own touch with your hand to the heart, and that might be enough to center you and ground you. So remember those things when maybe you're feeling a little disconnected. From here, you can continue to stay in Sphinx pose like this if you're getting plenty of connective tissue stretch here, or stress rather. Or you can bend the heels just so the feet aren't flexed or engaged. This just provides a little more arch into the low back. So if you're feeling just a gentle stress in the low back, you can stay here, keeping the arms where they are. Or you can continue with having the legs extended. So we'll just stay here for another minute or so. Still connecting with belly, breath, feeling that move against your floor or mat, whatever you're doing your practice on. Might even be on your bed. As you remain present and connected in this posture, it's a nice time to witness if there are any resistances in either what I'm saying or in your physical posture, or even both. If you're getting enough benefit from where you are here and don't feel like doing another variation, please just stay and continue to be in the stillness of the pose. If you want to move to a deeper level, just let the legs relax again down to where they were. Turn your hands and forearms out just to an angle where the corners of your mat might be. And gently push into the hands as you start to push up with the hands. But even here, there's this softness, like a soft quality that you bring to your practice. So it's not like you want to push and engage the legs. Actually, the lower half of your body still remains relaxed. And there's a gentle pressure with the fingertips and a gentle support of the palms. So if you felt any part of your body start to contract, start to consciously release with each exhale. Become connected to each part of your body and a part of your mind that might even be challenged. It might be resisting, which is why it could be manifesting in the physical body. And like I mentioned, if this is too much, please just come back to one of the other variations and you're still getting all of the same benefits. Shoulders relaxing away from ears. And notice how then you might even feel a little more intensity into the spine as you do that. See how the progression of Sphinx to Seal might have even changed the pressure where you're feeling this in your back, maybe in your belly. And take 5 more breaths here. Just consciously breathing to your rhythm. It might be a little faster or a little slower to mine. And the next time that you exhale, just allow yourself to slowly melt down towards the mat. And from here, instead of resting on our belly, actually just roll over onto your back to take your resting position, a rebound pose. Just notice how that feels really different to lying on the front side of our body. From holding to being held. And there's something about lying on our back that really feels like we can surrender a little more and be held by the ground beneath us. From here, I'm just going to turn around to take the sun out of my eyes. You continue resting on your back, but find your strap or something like a strap. And we're going to move into a pose called hammock posture. And this is a really beautiful pose to allow us to kind of let go and be held. And to do that, there needs to be an element of trust, and a trust that we're kind of building with ourself, really. So bend your knees And we'll start with the left leg, and you'll place the strap around the left sole of the foot. Now, if you're familiar with hammock, you can go around ahead and place the strap around the back of the head so that the strap rests above the ears. If you don't actually have a yoga strap that's safe to do that, you can just stay holding your strap and then allow the elbows to come all the way down towards the mat. So there's an element of relaxing in the upper body. And if you wish, the right leg extends just to get a little bit more of intensity in the pose. I'm choosing to do hammock for this side. So the strap sits like it cradles my head, and the strap is actually above the ears. And at different times of the day, depending on what I might have done earlier or a week ago, depends on how open my hamstrings feel, and this will determine the size of the loop. So the bigger the loop, the more distance you have if you've got particularly tight hamstrings. And then when you feel like you've got that good balance of feeling sensation, but also able to surrender into the pose, you know that you've found your appropriate edge. And then you come back to the connection with breath. And finding in this pose where you sit on the scale of holding to being held. Right leg, right foot is relaxed. And same with the leg that is in the air and has the strap on it. Your leg might move out to the side a little, or the knee might be just slightly bent. Try to remember that there is no perfect posture. It's just what works for your anatomy and your experience in this moment. So if you need to get creative, you can do that as well. Shoulders relax. The facial muscles start to soften. Your eyes might be closed. You might even feel the sensation of the mouth smiling or the whole body smiling. Very gently from here, we transition. And to do that, just bend the extended leg that's on the floor first, if it's not already bent, and place the foot on the mat. Then take a hold of your strap on both sides and gently release the head. And then release the strap from the foot and place it to the side, and we come to our rebound posture. Both legs extended, both arms relaxed by the side of the body. Time to let all of the hydration of the muscle tissue occur. And it allows for integration of the benefit of the pose. So try to think of these pauses in between as really being how the practice becomes most effective. And you may have even noticed in other aspects of your life when you take the time to rest or to move gracefully within what might feel like a difficult transition. It just seems to allow everything else to unfold with a little more beauty. Let's move to the other side. Bend your knees again. And we come with the right leg extended. So keep in mind that if you have um, significant differences in your sides, if the right side feels really tight and the left not so much, make sure to adjust your strap accordingly and take the time to do that. So don't feel like you're missing out if you take a minute or two to actually get the strap setting and loop setting right for you, because it will actually set you up for the pose for you to get all of the benefits that you need. So choose your variation, whether you want to hold the strap or if you want to loop the strap. Knee that's bent and left foot is on the mat, or either you feel like extending the left leg is what your body needs today. So you choose. If you revisit this practice and it feels a little different to yesterday or last month or last week or whenever it is, try to just accept your body and realize that you're actually connecting with what you need, and maybe it's not exactly what you want or what your ego thinks that you want or need. When you find that place where you feel kind of right in the balance of holding and being held, just allow yourself to get really still and let your breath start to smoothen, trying to correct any coarseness in the flow of the breath. And to try and resist any movement. You might even notice some involuntary movement of shaking or the eyes wanting to move or the fingers moving, but try to resolve any of those movements and to rest in your stillness. To know that in this moment, you're being held physically, mentally, and emotionally. Over the next couple of breaths, we start to transition out of this pose to come to our rebound. So bending the left knee again, placing the left foot on the mat, taking a hold of your strap, gently releasing the head and the neck down towards the mat. Releasing the strap and placing it to the side, and we won't need that again for the rest of the class. Extending the right leg and the left leg out, feeling the whole body just completely still. Try to move into your rebound pose as gracefully and quickly as possible without feeling like you're rushing. And when you get there, again, try to resolve to be as still as you can and to just drop into that feeling like almost like you can't move. It's like a heaviness and a stillness. It is really strong. For this next pose, which is bridge pose, we'll need a block. Or if you don't quite like the sensation of a block, you can use something soft like a cushion, but generally the solidity of the block can feel really supportive underneath your seat. And we'll start by bending both knees. And really, starting on the low level is such a beautiful introduction to this posture, but because we've done a lot of essentially back bending and opening into the back body, it would be reasonable to start as well on the middle level. So you just choose what you need today in this moment, either the low level or the medium level, and we'll bring it underneath our sacrum. So it's resting on that bone that's not really allowing your whole gluteal muscle to hang off the block, but it should actually feel like this beautiful linear plane of knees, hips, chest, and head. And it should feel like a really nice and even slope. And so again, when you find your place, it might take a little while to find the right block position. So if it's on the low back too much, your hips and your glutes are going to be sinking off the block. So just try and move it a little closer towards your seat and just notice how that might change the pose for you. And so as always, we're at different levels. We might be doing this at different times of the day. And so there's variations for this posture that may or may not work for you. And you just choose what feels best for your body at the moment. So you can stay exactly where you are, or you can choose to have both legs extended or just one leg extended. So you might extend just the left leg, keeping the right one bent. And then at some point I'll tell you if you've got one leg extended, I'll just say to shift to the other side, but we'll stay here.
If you've got both legs extended or both feet on the mat, you'll just stay where you are for the length of time. And remember that any time that you might start to lose sensation, as in you feel like you could move deeper, feel free to intuitively move into a position where you're feeling a little bit more sensation. And conversely, if you're feeling too much and you feel like you're just pushing, try to back off a little and notice how that softens you and how that brings this sense of connecting to what you need. If you have one leg extended, just switch sides, make it gentle and smooth. And be the witness to how this form of your body, the words that might be being said, have an effect on your mental or emotional response to holding and being held. How can you let your body be held a little more? And how can you have trust in the block, in the practice, in yourself? Can you relax your head a little more? Let go of any tension in the shoulders or the upper body and the hands. Any gripping that you might notice in your breath. Try to allow that to still be smooth, feeling your abdomen rise and fall. And then letting hips, pelvis, and both legs to feel completely relaxed here. And the simple act of actively releasing tension and letting go might actually deepen the intensity of the posture physically, and it can have quite a potent effect for the mental and emotional state as well. And from here, just bend your extended leg in if it's out. If both of your legs are extended, just start to bend them and place the feet on the mat. And from here, if you're on your medium level, just to descend really gradually and slowly, just lift your hips slightly, place the block on the low level, and let the sacrum connect to the block. If you're already on the low level, just stay where you are for a moment. One deep breath. And then same thing, lift the hips up just slightly and remove the block to your side. And for our rebound pose, actually just come to lie on your side. This might feel really nice for the low back. So I have both of my knees bent here. Might like them bent up a little bit closer towards you. And almost feel as though this fetal like position is like a reenactment of being in the womb space where we all were held for many months. We were nurtured and we were given vitality and life. So, coming back to that sense of connection, of holding and being held. And from here, we're going to push up to a seated position to gather our props of cushions, and we'll be using our block as well. So for the whole practice, we've really been building up to this pose physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it's a thoracic back bend and really helps to open the chest and the heart. So it's really kind of the epitome of being held. And I like to do it with the variation of cushions because it feels really beautiful and soft and gentle, which is how we should approach our sense of connection and how we should approach holding and being held. So I've got 2 cushions here. If you're really tight in the back still, you can stack up a few more cushions, or if you have a bolster, that's great. And then I use a block. So I have it on the medium setting. There's always the option to go on the higher setting or stacking a few. So like I always say, get creative if something isn't working for you that I'm instructing, or if something doesn't feel right, don't feel like you need to push through that and endure pain. It should feel like a sensation that you're willing to sit with. So it's like the sitting with the discomfort or the sensation is the instruction I usually like to give. So from here, just kind of push down on the cushions. It's like you're not sitting on them, it's actually just behind your lower back. And with this particular variation of the pose, I'm going to have both legs extended. I'll lie down over the cushions. Then from here, I just need to hold the block and see what feels best. So it should just kind of go underneath the base of the head. And then when you get to that place, you can choose to have the arms up above the head, or if it feels nicer for you or more appropriate, you can have the arms down next to the side of the body. So you just choose, again, getting more connected with what you need in this moment. You choose your variation and you take the time to really get set up in the pose. If you need extra cushions or less cushions, or something softer underneath your head as opposed to the block, you just do what works for you. And gradually you find that place where you feel like you could stay for a little while, despite it feeling perhaps a little uncomfortable at times with certain sensations that might be coming up physically, mentally, or emotionally. Eyes closed down. The legs are relaxed. The whole torso, chest, abdomen completely relaxed as you trace the breath, expanding on inhale and softly contracting on exhale. The head and the neck. Trust the support that's beneath it. And there's no gripping in the shoulders or the upper body. And are you holding or are you allowing to be held? We now start to transition. So releasing the arms back to the sides if they're not already there, bending the knees. And you choose what's best for you to come out of this pose. It might feel good to roll to the side or just push up with your elbows to start to take the props away from underneath you. Removing blocks and cushions. And from here, actually just going to come down to lie on your back, keeping the knees bent for a moment. And place again, so if you're female, left hand on heart, or if you're male, right hand on heart. And in this moment, you're connected to your heart, your body, your mind, soul. Before we come into Shavasana, just ask yourself what you need in this moment. And that might be a traditional Shavasana, lying on your back. It may be resting on your side, or it might even be resting on your belly. And just take a few moments to come to that realization of what you need. And hopefully, satisfying what you need is also what you want. And start to move into your Shavasana position, choosing whatever props you might need underneath your knees or underneath your head. You might even like a cushion, a blanket over your body to keep you warm and to make you feel connected to yourself.
When you come to your Shavasana position, just allow the eyes to close down. Feel the transitioning of inhale and exhale. And just for a moment, observe if it has shifted from beginning of class to now, in whatever way. Not trying to attach a good or a bad, but just different. And then from there, just allow the breath to become completely involuntary. Trying to come to terms that you are not the breather. The body breathes all by itself. And whatever position you're in, trying to move from holding to being held. Ever so gently start to deepen your awareness with your connection to the mat and awareness of the environment around you, the space in which your body is existing. And then start to allow the breath to smoothly deepen. And then you'll bring some small movements to your fingers and your toes to start to reawaken the cells of the body. You can bend your knees and roll to your right side and just rest on your right side if you're not already there. And take this moment again to just connect with that fetal position. At one time in our life, a very familiar sensation, very familiar form. And when you're feeling balanced in breath, mind, and body, you can come up to your seated position. And when you get there, Just bringing hands to heart center, right at the place where we've really been working strongly with. And we'll end kind of the way that we begun the practice. So bring left hand over heart if you're female, and this is opposite if you're male. And you'll bring your right hand over the left. Really firmly feeling now connected to this heart space, this sense of connection within ourself. And we'll seal this practice with sound. And we'll just do one Om together if you feel comfortable. And it will be with an ah, oo, sound. And feel as though the sound moves from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown of the head. It's okay if you just want to experience the sound of it without doing it yourself, but I encourage you to feel like you can use your voice and to feel the vibration of the sound in your chest and in the rest of your body. So just take an inhale and an exhale smoothly. We'll inhale together. Bring your hands back to heart center in prayer pose and softly bow your chin in gesture of gratitude for yourself turning up, and to all of the teachers in your life who continue to show up and to guide you and to reflect back to you what you might be looking for. Namaste.